Neil, I discovered that you have been keeping the fact that our grandfather died and left you all of his inheritance.
I'm trying to Jen, I have been hiding that I'm secretly in love with you.
Oh, thank you. That's really sweet of you to be in love with me. I'm not sure what we're doing, but
Oh, we're just doing incriminating things. We're just practicing for the popcorn scenes.
okay. I was just like, oh, thanks, Neil. That's really nice.
Oh, pardon me while I just sharpen my knife here.
Well, we do appear to be live now, so if we want to...
Excellent.
We can have a show. Let's have a show. Absolutely. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Kristen Nick Desai, who's already in character, and Neil. I don't know how to pronounce your last name.
Leahy is how you say it, and nobody knows how to say my last name, so you're not alone.
Okay, great. And I could have just said Neil. I could have just said Neil, but I'm going to say Neil Leahy. And I'm Jennifer Chan, and we are part of No Pants Improv, and we're so excited to be here today on a Wednesday, as we always are at this time. So if you could just put it in your calendar, every Wednesday, every Sunday, same time, turn on Twitch, and here we are, making fabulous, or sometimes really terrible, but often fabulous and always committed improv for your enjoyment. Today we are doing a mystery. And we won't really tell you much about it because I think you probably know what a mystery is. There may be some bloodshed. I don't know. We're going to find out. So we're going to go off camera, and when we come back, presenting mysteries with No Pants Improv for today.
We didn't ask for a hobby from ourselves.
Oh, that's right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kristen Drenning, or Violet Humberditch, also known as Violet Humberditch. Fabulous audience out there. If you could, is anybody actually on the watching on the Twitch chat?
It says 3. That could just.
It could be us. It could be somebody else.
It would be great, yeah.
But in any case, I'm not on Twitch, so if somebody else could read the chat, if there's anything there, can we get a suggestion of a hobby that somebody, probably adult, but maybe not, might have.
Like a hobby that you live, like chess, or like, what I mean? Like hobby.
A vocation might be another way to think about it.
Oh, right?
Yeah. And you can suggest improvisers. We might not take that suggestion, but we might. So there you
go. Okay, so it's seeming like our audience is mostly our own inner voices today, which is fine. So let's do, my suggestion is miniature house, like miniature dolls, miniature house, like miniatures.
Miniaturists. Mm-hmm. So we've got miniaturists, we've got book club, and
we do have one. And oh God, I love you. And frog collecting.
Frog collecting. I'm sure there's a word for that. So, but we're gonna call it frog collecting because even if there's a word, it's not as good as frog collecting. So So welcome. So frog collecting is our suggestion. Thank you. And when we come back, we will actually start the show.
It's a Panamanian green. It's the jewel of my collection.
I've always wanted one of those.
I bet you did, but if you touch mine, I'll kill you.
Have you heard? I don't know that you've heard this. Violet has a Panamanian green.
Well, you know those are deeply poisonous, don't you?
They're also endangered. I mean, it's positively unethical.
I've seen you coveting my Panamanian green, and I'm going to tell you right now that I'm onto you. I've got a rather sharp knife.
Can't intimidate me, Violet. Because
Oh,
you're
I think
president of our club doesn't give you the right to flout the rules.
we'll see about that.
Mom, there's someone here to see you. I don't know who it is. Just, can you please take care of it?
I'm in the middle of my frog club. Well, it's fine.
Well, this is a sorry sight to behold. Violet Humberditch, dead on the floor, seemingly after having opened the door to her own home. She was shot dead, and the entire contents of her frog collection removed by forces unknown. I shall write down on my detective's pad all the information pertinent to the case, and I've had it upside down. Excellent. Well, that shall make it certainly easier to read my previous notes.
Inspector Skilovich, it's me. Dr. Dreidel, I'm here to see the body.
Yes, well, it's right down there. I have taken the liberty of drawing a chalk outline. Lavender Humberditch, the sister of the deceased.
Yes, and I'm here to tell you that I would please ask that you be respectful of the body and keep it intact. We do not want an autopsy performed under any circumstances.
I see. Well,
Please.
I shall certainly pass that note along to the coroner. I do see quite a lot of blood and a clear gunshot wound, so I believe the cause of death is pretty easy to ascertain.
Well, that's delightful because it's on religious grounds that we ask that you please not perform any ballistics, and if you could, maybe just wrap it up and throw it into a fire. That would be preferable. Anyway, I'll let you do your work. Just please remember the integrity of this body is of utmost importance to my family. Mm-hmm.
Well, Dr. Dreidel, that was very odd, don't you think?
Inspector, I leave that to your judgment, but I can tell you that, surprisingly, despite the fact that the deceased does indeed have a bullet wound straight through their chest, there is also a sign of something happening at the back of their head, which I don't quite... I'll have to wait for my examination until I can tell you exactly what that is. I can also give you the time of death, which was about 1 hour and 30 minutes ago.
Hour and 30 minutes. You know, most of the time, murders don't even get a police officer down on the scene until, I don't know, day and a half later. I think we really ought to be commended for our quick work on this case.
That's right, Inspector Skittlevids. Commendations to you, to me, we're all commended. Now, I'd like to proceed with my work.
Of course. I shall proceed with mine, interviewing the family and the associates of the suspect, or of the murder victim, in hopes of finding a suspect.
Let me know if you have any questions.
First on my list, Philip Farthington.
Yes, Skillwitz, is it? Come right in. I imagine I can have Bartleby bring you by a cup of tea, if you wish.
That should be wonderful. Now, oh goodness, you're extremely rich. Is this all frog money?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Is this all frog money?
Oh, no, my late uncle was 6th Earl of Boddington, and he left a bit of a family estate. It's, well, I'd like to mix styles and just sort of be creative with my decorating. Bartleby, some tea here for the inspector. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Carry on. I'm sorry?
I would appreciate a cup of tea very much. I'm completely parched, and the sight of all this opulence is really making me question my line of work, because a detective's salary is not nearly enough to buy this sort of estate. Anyway, not important.
Did you order some? You wanted some tea? I have made you some.
Thank you very much.
Of course. No.
Very good.
Huge tea, delicious. Mr. Farthington, much as I hate to intrude upon a man so clearly pursuing other interests and with such fabulous wealth, I do have to ask you a couple of questions about the death of Violet Humberditch.
Of course, nasty business. Carry on.
Yes, the first question, of course, is how you seem to already know about the death of Violet Humberditch, despite the fact that she has only been killed an hour and a half ago, and you do not seem to be in contact with the family.
Oh, well, I have to say that Teddy from the club where she was killed called a little bit ago and let me know about what happened. Dreadfully sad. Violet was the president of our frog club and extremely skilled at what she was doing. Her collection was very extensive, especially in the South American region.
I see. And what sort of relationship did you have with the deceased?
Well, good. I certainly respected her quite a good deal, though I did wonder a bit about some of her more controversial parts of her collection. Felt as though she was going quite against the Home Office by traveling to Guyana and Panama for some of her more obscure picks.
Indeed. The Department of Illegal Imports had been after her for quite some time, and as I'm sure you're aware.
Yes.
Well, as you know, MI6 was closing in on the Frog Collectors Club, and it was only a matter of time before something struck, either them or, as we have unfortunately seen, another darker force.
Yes, that Violet and I did definitely clash a bit. I wasn't sure why she couldn't be content with a fine British bullfrog or two, perhaps some excellent Hungarian hoppers, perhaps. No, she had to go to South America, had to have the exotic poisonous lot, and you've seen what that's done for her.
And Mr. Farthington, following the death of Violet Humberditch, shall you be taking over her duties as the president of the Frog Club?
Well, I'm afraid none of that's been decided again. It's really, the body's very cold. I do know that we did have a few contentious talks about the state of affairs in her collection and whether or not she was precisely following the law. And I know that Violet was always single-minded about, it was about one thing, it was frogs.
Indeed. And, well, now that her brains have been blown out the back of her head, I'm afraid she's of no mind at all about anything. Mr. Farthington, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I'm sure that I will be returning later to ask you more questions, and if possible, sample some more of that tea, because that was just far and away better than anything I've had at home in the past several months.
Leave your mug for Bartleby, and I'm sure he'll refill it.
I absolutely will. Just absolute dregs, let me tell you, that we get in the Force. Just the worst, the worst.
I'm so glad that my sister has finally relented of her grip, this iron grip of hers on my every frog expression, my every frog related desire. She had to control me. I won't deny that I'm delighted that she's gone, Drea. I couldn't stand her. Drea, honey, sweetheart, we've been over this. You speak so softly. I I have very, very hard hearing, right?
I know it. I do know it. I'm sorry. I forgot. But yeah, I mean, really, she's gone, and really, there's not much more you can do about it. And now here you are. We are here at the club, and
It's just ever so much
sad.
nicer here, right? The atmosphere is so much better, and oh, I just feel so calmed by the idea that she won't be around to rib my favorite ribber or eat the legs of my prized bullfrog the way she did when I was in 12th grade. It was. We had been in a bit of a contest, you see. We'd read this short story about the amazing jumping frog of Calaveras County, and she got it into our head that we had to have some sort of competition in which to compete two jumpers, and I had spent months then training up my frog, getting him ready for this, and I knew that she was going to do something sinister. She'd always been that way, even out of the womb. She was born strangling me. You know, she didn't have the muscle mass necessary in her little fingers to actually finish the job, but she was a dark one. Anyway, so I've been training this frog, and I've come in the course of training this frog to love him very much. He was of absolutely sweet disposition and kind. As far as a frog can be kind, he was quite kind. He'd leave me little flies, wait just for me to have, and I was so touched by that. His name was Teddy. Anyway,
Like me.
the competition comes up, and we've wagered quite a bit of money on the outcome. And of course, as you know, we had sizable means already, the both of us. There was no reason to really care about the stakes of it. But sure enough, the day before the competition, I woke to find Violet at the dinner table with a giant vat of butter in front of her and two perfectly, exquisitely cooked frog legs that she was tucking into just as I walked in the room. She made sure to vocalize her enjoyment of the delicate and tender flesh of my Teddy, and she forfeited, of course, the competition, but she never cared about it in the first place. What she wanted was for me to care about something so that she could destroy it.
Well, Lavi, it's a terrible story, of course, but ain't you a little bit sad? You know, she was your sister, your twin.
When I looked at her, it was like looking in the mirror and seeing only the worst bits about you. Only the things that you most wanted to hide, things you most feared other people knowing or seeing about you. She was an expression of that, complete. Every bad instinct I've ever had is written all over her face, or was written all over her face.
Well, I do think it's a little bit unnatural, you know, not being sad about your sister. But, you know, to each his own, so all right.
I'm going to have a cigarette, I think.
Would you like a gin shandy?
Oh, that would be lovely.
All right, then.
Thanks, Jack.
Well then, a clue has presented itself. And so I am monologuing to you, my pad, so that I may not forget these thoughts. Though clearly Violet had been shot in the head, further investigation against the wishes of her sister, Lavender, revealed a pattern of green and blue varicose veins sprawled across her body, as if a poison, perhaps the poison of some exotic rainforest frog, had been coursing through her body moments before death, causing her perhaps to contract a muscle spasm and shoot herself instead of being shot by anyone else. Fascinating. Hello, Drea. You did not announce your presence, and so I have been. I've just been monologuing to you. Hello.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. You're the inspector.
Yes, you're very light on your feet. I did not notice you were here.
Right. Well, you got to do that when you're in a position like mine. You know, I serve them drinks up all day long, and then you got to be sort of a little bit quiet. You know, you got to listen a fair bit. But I did want to tell you. Well, so I don't know nothing about frogs. I don't know nothing about any of these things. I just sit there and I'm the barmaid, really. But just now, Lavender, Lavy, I call her. She's just not very repentant, I must say. It was a little bit odd, don't you think? I hate to talk about a friend like this, but I did want to let you know. I mean, I think she didn't like her sister very much. That's it. That's all I wanted to tell you. I've got to get back to work. But anyways, just thought I should.
Thank you.
Yep. All right then. Okay. Toodles. You know where to find me.
Of course. I'm sure I'll have further questions for you. Lavy. Commonly used as a derogatory term for lavatory, which is a sort of toilet. And a toilet is an insulting thing to call someone. Perhaps Drea was not a fan of Lavy, and so she is trying to throw her under the bus, metaphorically, of course, but perhaps literally, and implicate her as the committer of this crime. Fascinating.
Sorry, sir.
Why do you keep sneaking up on me?
I'm terribly sorry, sir. I just wanted to say that the results are in from the autopsy, and I wanted to make sure that I got them to you as soon as possible.
Wordsworth, keep your voice down. We're technically not
supposed
Sorry.
Sorry. So, the autopsy.
That was louder than before. That was louder.
Right. Okay. The autopsy results are in.
And? Were my suspicions correct? Was it a frog poison that killed her after all?
It was a frog poison, but also there's blunt trauma to the back of the head and also a gunshot. So it's a little confusing, really.
All three simultaneously? What could it possibly mean?
Yes, I believe you mentioned that when you saw the body. There was a gunshot wound, the blunt trauma, and they said they were going to look into the poison thing. Well, it turns out it's in.
Fascinating. Let me tell you, Wordsworth, when you've got a brain like mine, these sorts of things are like fuel to the fire. You understand, Wordsworth? They're like tinder to the flame.
I do, sir. I can feel the heat as we talk.
Yes, that's why I wear this hat. Got to keep all that heat contained. Wordsworth, it's a scientific fact that one loses one's body heat primarily through the top of the head. So thereby, by wearing a hat, one may keep the heat entirely contained within one's own circulatory system, which helps the neurons fire, the electricity crackle, and the crimes get solved. Remember that, Wordsworth?
I shall. It's like my grandfather used to say, grass never grows on a busy street.
That's brilliant, Wordsworth. I shall write that down immediately. And now?
Thank you. Very good, sir.
Very good.
You know who can't control their body heat leaving their body? Amphibians. Amphibians are in fact very poor when it comes to regulating their own temperature. They are entirely dependent upon the sun's rays to warm them. Otherwise, their blood runs very, very cold. That was a lesson I learned the hard way when I was 14 with my beloved. Anne was only in a green heart, a very rare kind of frog and very special to me. Chrissy. Now, Chrissy was a very beautiful specimen and very delicate, very, very mincing in her ways. When she wanted something to eat, she would stick out one or two little footpads, like so. She would just onto the food dish, and I would know that would be like a tap, 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 and I'd feed her a little tiny little insect. And I loved the grace and ease of her manner. She was a real princess. Of course, my sister, noticing my affection for this poor, poor creature, eviscerated her in the night and strewn her innards all over my pillow and my face, delicately feathering me. Oh, I'm sorry, I was talking to myself.
No, don't like that. You touched me. I'm honored that you would confess all this.
I'm not confessing anything. I'm just telling you what I have dealt with my entire life. This living monster of a human being with my face who went around murdering indiscriminately everything that I loved. Well,
No,
that were frogs.
I understand, Lavender. Yeah, she was ruthless, absolutely ruthless in her manner of running. I'm sorry?
Philip, in what way was she ruthless to you? I know you were lovers.
Well, I didn't tell you that we were once. And then, well, the presidency of the Frog Club came into play. She dropped me like a proverbial hot potato.
Philip, if I may inquire, given your predilection for my sister, who has markedly the same or similar visage to my own, would that mean that you also find me comely?
What?
Do you also find me of a certain winsome, charming quality? Perhaps.
As beautiful as the very daffodils themselves that grace the garden outside. As lovely as the budding rose.
Are you in want of a lover?
As lovely as you? Of course.
It would be a great justice to figuratively fornicate over the ashes of my dearly departed torturer.
We just need to get this man's skittle which pointed in the other direction.
Oh, we shall.
Oh, hello, Auntie Lavender. Oh, she's gone.
Oh.
Hello, Inspector Skittlevitz. I was told that you wanted to speak with me.
That's correct.
Of course, I'm absolutely gutted that my mother's dead. I just don't really know what I can tell you.
Well, I'd actually wanted to speak with your Aunt Lavender, but both her and Mr. Farthington were unavailable for comment. I called them on the phones and nothing was to be heard but a sound of heavy breathing, which I don't know what to make of that. Anyway, I've called you out here because it's the only place I can be sure that there are no frogs.
Well, thank God for that. I could do no frogs ever again in my entire life.
I don't trust the frogs. I believe clues are leading me into a certain direction. I cannot speak more on it at the moment, but I would advise you to avoid frogs as much as possible. Now, what can you tell me about your mother? Her disposition towards you specifically, Was she kind? Was she unpleasant?
Stay away from my niece. What are you doing here? Don't you have any respect for my family at all? She's grieving.
Lavender, what were you doing with that man?
Oh, Mr. Farthington. Well, you should know, darling, that now that I have to take care of you as your dear mother has traversed this earth, I need support myself, and I thought maybe you could use a father figure, and so I am conscripting one.
14 years old, I don't need a father figure. I don't need a new mother. Why is everyone always trying to control my life?
Well, because you are, my dear, really quite reckless, and you make some of the worst decisions. You have an innate capacity to do terrible things and seemingly have no idea of the gravity of the thing you've done, or the brutality or the cruel violence of it. And I've had to clean up many an exsanguinated mess of yours, and I'm not even your mother, so...
It's only to frogs. I take out all my aggressions on frogs because I am sick and tired of frogs. Everywhere you turn, a frog, a frog, a frog, a frog, a frog. Do you know what it's like to wake up in your bed and you feel something slimy sitting on the top of your head and you put your hand up and there's a frog there? That happened to me when I was 5 years old. I don't need a new mother. I didn't need an old mother. I can be fine on my own.
The frog loved you, Suki. That's it. She's really quite awful. I'm sorry, Inspector.
And you will be... Lavender, I'm going to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
You're the only person I feel like I can trust.
You should trust me. I agree.
Something about your demeanor. Lavender, I have begun to suspect the other members of the frog collecting club of having perpetrated this vile deed. You know, I read about a case once where it turned out that everyone had done the murder. And I always thought it would be a real feather in my cap if I were to find a case just like that one, and then you'd get that in my sort of police record. And so I'm thinking this might be it.
Oh, I think that's a lovely idea, and I think we could absolutely find the facts to support that. I'll help you, of course. I shall endeavour to be as instrumental in your solving the case in that manner as possible. I have many an idea for you. For example, were you aware that Philip Farthington is the only one of the Frog Club that has access to my departed sister's beloved Panamanian green? Now, they are highly deadly and secrete rather a unique poison. Of course, also, my dear friend Drea, the bartender, she is in want of money. She's in debt, maybe 70,000, 80,000 pounds to the mafia, and would probably do anything to kill for that. And I will mention, of course, that my poor departed sibling did keep rather a large amount of cash on hand at home. She didn't believe in banks. She was a conspiracy theorist. And then, not to turn on my own dear now daughter, once niece, but Suki is incredibly violent, is known to bash people in the back of her head, not just frogs. I've seen her at least once brutally attack a schoolmate with a spike heel, and if it weren't for my intervention, I fear that child would be dead. But I'm not saying anything at all, of course.
Extremely helpful, Miss Lavender. I'll tell you one thing. For your help in this case, I am absolutely sure that with the police department protecting you, you will make it out of this okay.
Oh, wonderful.
You're going to be all right.
Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry. Skillwitch, is it?
Yes.
Yes.
You spoke earlier. You gave me some of your tea.
That's right. I thought that I would invite you over. Bartleby's already poured you a very nice mug of tea. It's from India, actually, and wish you to.
That explains the cubical shape in which the mug is arranged. It's most uncommon.
Drink, yes, drink it. Okay, yeah, okay.
Yes, it's lovely tea. It does come with its own mug that we've had flown by.
Well, I'm incredibly grateful for all of the kindness that you've shown me.
Excellent.
I am going to have to ask you to do something.
Well, I suppose I'd be willing to do nearly anything to assist the police.
Would you, purely in service of helping solve this case, would you give me a ride in your limousine, specifically past the house at 231 Green Street, where a man who used to bully me in school lives? He said I would never amount to anything, and if he were to see me riding past in a limousine, I believe that he would be, I would feel, it's very important to the case that you let me ride in your limousine, Mr. Farthington.
All right. I don't think Bartleby's engaged at the moment. I suppose he could take you for a ride down to Green Street and back, just for the sake of curiosity.
Yes. This is, murders are always solved in unexpected ways, holistic ways, one might say. And so you never know what's going to help.
Right. Well, it's going to help, indeed. Bartleby, bring round the limousine, please. Inspector Skittlewitz is taking it for a ride.
Right away. Well, what's this all about then? I've got quite a bit going on at the moment. As you know, I'm dealing with a murder, and I've got a new lover who is oh God! What I can't oh no oh.
Well, Dr. Dreidel, this is embarrassing.
Yes, I see you've got another murder here. It's a problem.
Yes, specifically after I had promised her all of the resources of the department in protecting her and her use to us in this case, she was immediately murdered, which I've got to say is not going to look amazing on my record.
From what I can see, it looks like she died about 20 minutes ago. So that would be 4:42.
Again, I must really commend
death, I would guess, would be strangulation.
Indeed.
But I'll have to wait for my exam to give you exact details.
Dr. Dreidel, it could be my career on the line if I don't solve this case. And then, who would be there in my stead? You? Would you be promoted to my position if I were to be fired for failing to solve this case? I don't know how the department works. Frankly, I've always been seen as a loose cannon. I've never actually taken a look at the police rulebook.
Sir, I'm not much of a therapist. Have you tried the barmaid down the street? If you have something to unload off your chest, then I suggest her. But otherwise, I'm going to get to work. All right?
Absolutely, yes. You do your thing.
Right.
I will, in the interest of solving the case, I shall give myself a drink and a therapy session. I believe that's the most criminally justice useful thing at the moment. It's just
Oh, hello. I'm sorry to intrude.
Hello, I was just unloading about all of my problems to this wonderful bartender.
Well, I shall leave for expositional purposes.
No. Well, most mysterious encounter.
Mysterious lady. I don't really know who she is, but it's quite mysterious. But Inspector Skittlevitz, if you'd like to unload, that's what I'm here for. It's what I do all day long. So unload. Tell me all your troubles.
It all began on a cold Thursday in March.
Oh, excuse me, the dogs are losing their minds. Dogs, be quiet. All right, start again.
It's perfectly all right. It all began when I failed to solve a case. I feel as if my luck has been on the downspin lately. And if I don't solve the case soon, my career is going to be going down the tubes. Just flushed down the toilet. Stabbed in the back, shot in the head, poisoned with a frog, bludgeoned with an unknown object.
It sounds quite awful, really. I'd be quite down in the dumps if I was you.
I just don't understand what it is about the frogs. Why does everyone like frogs so much?
Well, I couldn't really tell you because I don't really like them very much, but I will tell you that they spend loads of money on them, and then they're really worth a lot of money as well. People will pay like £10,000 for one frog. It's crazy. I don't understand it.
Would you like for me to explain?
Oh, mysterious lady, please do come back. Can I get you a gin and shandy?
Why you might think I am a lady, because I am quite beautiful. But I am, in fact, a gentleman.
I'm so sorry, sir. Do you go by he, she, they, them, or she, her?
The pronouns for me personally, and this is not to apply to everyone, they do not matter.
Oh, well, all right then.
I am open-minded. Having grown up in the shadow of my sisters, I had to learn to adapt to what you might call poor conditions. I had limited light, limited water, limited heat, limited attention, and I had to make my own way. I tell you why my family loves frogs. We love them because they are the opposite of resilient. They are creatures that nature should never have born. They are so delicate they can be eliminated at the drop of a hat, simply by turning the sun up a notch or drowning them in rain. Did you know that you can drown an amphibian? You can, because they have lungs. That's the key. I learned that myself. My sisters were often like frogs, so sensitive. So sensitive. They never learned to have a tough skin like a reptile, like a snake.
But you did.
I had to.
Your features are so familiar.
Well, I am a twin, so what you see is very similar.
Wait, were you triplets? Or is there another twin?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. We use the term we use twin to mean I am of multiple birth. I am a triplet. Triplet just sounds so inelegant, comparatively.
Well, excuse me, I've got to go do the inventory. Please, help yourselves if you'd like something to drink, and just keep it on the tip.
Oh, I see. That seems quite generous.
It is. Now, Lilac, is it?
Yes, my parents hated me from birth, clearly, right? They named me Lilac, they reared me as if I am a woman. I had a very confused childhood. Now I go by Lilo.
Lilo. I shall replace the name in my notes.
It does not bother me if you forget.
Now that 2 of your sisters are dead, do you regret it at all? Are you sad about it?
Let me tell you a little anecdote about my sisters. One time, when we were children, we 3 were given 3 identical boxes, and we did not know what was in each. My sister Lavender started to weep with joy. She was so excited just to have the box. My sister Violet, seeing her joy, took my sister's box and smashed it. Sight unseen, no idea what was in the box. I saw this, and I tried to take Violet's box, and Violet turned. And even as a child, she kept a small razor blade and nicked me right across the top of my face, which is why I have this mustache to cover it. And she smashed my box. And we looked in, and each of the boxes were kidneys, because we were all in need of a kidney. We were all born with 1 kidney, and those would have been the kidneys we needed to have 2 functional kidneys. My sister, out of hand, destroyed them. So Lavender and I suffered while Violet got the kidney because she did not destroy her own box. And that, I think, is a very accurate anecdote to encompass the nature of my siblings' behaviors. You can see why I am very eccentric.
Indeed.
Yes.
You really think you should be here at the bar with only 1 functioning kidney?
Oh, geez, sir. Hey, hi there.
Worthington, you've interrupted an important conversation as usual. Please continue.
I'm sorry, sir. I just wanted to let you know I got another report in about the frog situation.
We're all friends here, are we not now, Inspector?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I should really talk about it right now. I don't know. Is it okay?
I will give you your privacy, of course, of course.
It's most appreciated. Worthington, you were about to just disclose some very important information in front of a potential suspect, so I'm afraid I will have to add a demerit to your list of ongoing demerits. It will be the 51st this month, but please do continue with that report.
Oh, don't demote me to undersergeant again, sir. I won't mess up again, I promise.
Well, I mean, you're already a junior sergeant, so it would be a junior undersergeant rather than just a regular undersergeant, which is actually a bit worse.
Right, exactly. I don't want to be the junior undersergeant. Oh, sir, please, not like that.
Worthington, your work in working way up from assistant junior undersergeant all the way up to junior undersergeant to junior sergeant has been impeccable. And despite Worthington, I believe in you. Good man.
Yeah? Very good, sir.
Tell me exactly what I need to hear, or else you'll be getting another demotion.
Right. Well, I believe I found a clue that might be very important. It's about the importation of frogs. You see,
missing link.
I didn't know this, but Philip Worthington actually has a frog farm on his estate. Apparently, that's how he continues to have his fortune. And, well, what if the importation of foreign frogs might have threatened that? So I thought that might be of note.
Of course. The importation, yes, it's all coming together now. The Panamanian green, the importation of frogs, the murder of 3 different methods. Worthington, I'm going to promote you to regular sergeant.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Go ahead, and I'm going to take this star out of my pocket. Go ahead, put it on your coat whenever you're ready.
I shall, sir. And I shall. I'll be waiting in the car.
Thank you. Now, I think I have a murderer to catch.
So interesting. What people think when they think they are alone, they will say, I'm going to go see that Mr. Farthington. I believe he has a Panamanian green of mine that I would like very much to acquaint myself with.
Ah, Inspector, the Bartleby's tea has pulled you in again.
Yes, it's quite addictive, this stuff. There's a certain aftertaste that I just can't quite place.
Yes, it's
Got it in some way.
yes. Well, Bartleby strikes again with the Indian tea situation. I'm sure. I believe this one might be from Sri Lanka, actually. It's quite intriguing. I must say I was quite shocked by the sudden death of both company sisters. I really quite hit home.
You are
Said anything about how the frog collection was going to be disposed of?
The frogs that were native to this country shall be kept. But due to extremely strict importation laws, those frogs which were originally from outside of the country shall be returned to their native countries and released back into the wild, which I understand is actually going to be very financially suitable for you as you are a breeder of native British frogs. Is that right, Mr. Worthington?
Well, yes, I grow native British frogs for the frog leg market and the occasional bullfrog festival. It's quite the thing in Yorkshire.
The Yorkshire Hopper, the most famous British frog of all. Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Worthington, in about...
not so fast. I'm sorry. I cannot help but overhear. The Panamanian frog, the Panamanian green, is clearly mine. Belongs to me. I am the legitimate heir and cannot be deported under the law that you were just discussing because I have a rightful claim to it as a biological sibling. You can test my blood, it is the same.
How did you get into the Greek part of my home?
I just wandered in like a snake in the sewer.
Yes. It's all coming together now. My speech about... Thank you for joining us, Dr. Dreidel.
Inspector Skidlet, when you have a moment, but not right now, I do have some very interesting information for you, but please do proceed and then I'll inform you of my very, very interesting findings upon my examinations of the bodies.
Bartleby's clearly failed at his job by letting all of you in. Fine, go on.
That's right. None of you are leaving this room until I've had my say.
I wouldn't dream of it.
I've solved the case.
Uh-huh.
That's right.
I would
That's
like...
right. None of you were expecting me to have solved it because you all had a hand in what went down. Dr. Cradle, you were about to tell me the fact that the bodies which we found were not human remains at all, but were in fact frog masses that had been cleverly stitched together using the skin of a chameleon frog, which has the power to change its skin to look like anything it wishes. It had been shown the body of a Humberditch sister, whereupon it had reconfigured their own skins to look like their body and was used as a prop. Is that right, Dr. Dreidel?
That's exactly right, Inspector Skittles. I must admit, I didn't know you had it in you to figure that out. But yes, I've done the tests, and indeed, not human remains at all. Frog.
I am so relieved to hear my siblings are still alive.
Oh, not so fast, Lilac Humberditch. You see, Dr. Dreidel, when you said that you didn't believe that I would be capable of solving this crime, that was your plan the whole time, wasn't it? To get me arrested for incompetence and then steal my job. And then, to help with this plan, you contacted Lilac Humberditch, who is not Lilac at all, but in fact, as you will see, whereupon I remove this fake mustache.
Ow, 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 don't, ow. Why? That wasn't necessary at all. You didn't need to rip it so hard, it really hurt.
Sometimes pain is necessary for progress. This, my friends, is not Lilac Humberditch, but in fact Violet Humberditch, who is never killed at all.
Violet!
This is very out of order, Inspector Skittles. I think I might need to call the Uber inspector, because this just does not seem right at all.
I would let this one leave.
There's more. Mr. Worthington.
Clearly, above reproach in this whole matter.
Not so much.
You'd like me to think that, wouldn't you? But in fact, when I was in your limousine, when you believed that I was using it for my own personal purposes, I dusted for fingerprints. And you know whose fingerprints I found?
Sookie's.
Exactly. Sookie, the erstwhile daughter of yourself, Violet Humberditch. You had both conspired together because you knew that MI6 was cracking down on your illegal fog importing operation.
But
faking your own death was the only thing that would get them off of their trail. So
I thought perhaps if it looked like we were engaged maybe with Worthington and his British frogs, which are disgusting, inferior creatures, I suppose I did poorly at that then.
Precisely. You attempted to ally yourself with Philip Worthington and his British frog farm. You were going to attempt to resell those imported frogs as British frogs that had been bred on a British farm.
We just put little Union Jack bow ties on them, just like little tiny ones. That's all you need to do, really.
It was a brilliant plan. It would have fooled anyone.
I've never heard such a load of boo-hickey or bullfroggy, as the case may be. What evidence do you possibly have that, especially that I might be involved?
No, it's all true. And Skittlewitz here isn't going to be leaving to tell anyone about it.
Oh, do stop! Oh, that's right. Well,
Fine. Skittlewitz may have got me this time. But I'm telling you, you'll never live this down.
Oh, Worthington, I am so distressed to see you dying there. It's really quite sad.
Don't worry, my dear. Violet, I'll make it out of jail sometime soon just for you.
Oh no, you shan't, because I poisoned that blade, so you should both be feeling quite restrictive breathing.
oh, Violet, well done.
Yeah,
No, but I'd figured it all out.
He never even understood that there really was no Sookie. That's the funniest part, really, right? Obviously, it was you.
family resemblance, of course. There was only ever one Humberditch. You've bested me.
Yeah.
And Dr. Dreidel, are you trying to hurry me up and dying here?
Yeah, that Dr. Dreidel is Sookie. I'm just trying to help you out at this point. Like,
well, it's just that I would really, like to have a sort of drawn-out death because I'm important, I'm an inspector. I'm supposed to solve the crime.
You did. You nailed it, little buddy. You remind me a little bit of this old frog I used to have, Teddy, who used to give me flies. I killed him too, so.
Very good to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I shall cherish your corpse.
Feed me to the frogs.
They're mostly the insectivores.
Ah, Violet, my love. At last we are alone.
It was really almost insufferable, right?
It really was. Now, can we please dispose of the frogs as well?
Oh, absolutely. I think they're just vile creatures, just disgusting. Just wanted to coat it with a little bit of a shellac of goo, so to speak, just to give it a little color, the whole murdering thing.
I understand.
But I'll tell you
why I love you.
You are by far and away the most evil, wonderful woman I have ever known.
You flatter me. Now let's go to South America before the purchase.
I thought you would never ask. To the airport, then?
To the airport.
Should we take Worthington's limousine?
Oh, yes, of course.
Of course. Let's see if we can get some tea. Well, anyway. Well done.
Well done.
Well done.
And scene.
Oh,
It was fun.
it was fun.
I like that I own this coat because I use it for all-purpose evil coat, like at all times.
It's a great evil coat.
Yeah.
Great evil coat.
Yeah.
Also, I like the Dr. Dreidel Sookie. That was a surprise to me, and
that was good. That was good.
I enjoyed that. Yeah. Also, great, honestly, Nick. Very, very good work. Keeping up with a lot of I purposefully tried to make the backstories of those characters like as bizarre and esoteric as I could. Like,
I love all of them.
Yeah, what you would take out of the 3-box story.
Kidneys. Yeah. And I loved Worthington, the sub junior sergeant, junior over junior
baby,
junior sergeant Worthington.
Yeah.
Maybe he's gonna get a promotion after this.
Yep. Yeah, totally. If you hadn't ended things so nicely, I would have come on as the new inspector.
Yes, that would have been good too.
Right, that would have been good, actually.
That would have been good, and then you could go back to being Dr. Dreidel, and I would just pretend that like I didn't know what was going on. I don't know.
Well, this is called a sequel.
Yeah, there could be. Yeah.
There's 20 seasons of Midsummer Murder, so we could just do,
If you need me, I'll be in the Roman bath section of the home.
Yeah.
Very well.
It was really fun to do a fully all English accent show. I don't think I guess we did that with Austin as well, but it's really it's such a good challenge.
I'm so bad at it. It's hard.
Because like I can do it for like 3 lines and then oh God. And for those wonderful of you who are watching, we'll say you heard a little bit of the really interesting part about English accents, because I know you couldn't tell that we are actually all United Statesians. What?
Surprise! Yeah,
really hard to know, except for
Sookie. Accent is a fake one.
What'd you say, Inspector Skillets? What did you say, Nick?
I'm originally British, of course. My American accent is the fake one.
Oh, right.
I would actually believe that. I would take that. Whereas for me, if I was a British person, I was a British person who's had a profound stroke, and now it's in my life, yeah, or something.
Anyway, sorry for
we are No Pants Improv. We're here Wednesdays and Sundays. Same bad time, same bad channel. See you next time.